Okay, guys, it is 7 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting for June 12th, 2025 to order and turn things over to Commissioner Johnson to lead us in invocation.
Let's pray. Holy Father, thank you for allowing us to come today in this free country that we live in and do the business of the town. Please be with those who are lost and those who are sick, and be with those who need your guiding hand in these things we pray. Amen.
Amen. Next up, we did have a last minute item that came in from our friends over at the North Carolina DOT. So we're going to have to amend the agenda slightly for tonight. We've got an updated version of it here, and you guys probably have it out there as well. But we'll have to amend the agenda. So I'll go ahead and ask for an amended or approval of an amended agenda.
Make approval.
Second. All right, we got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. So item B in new business will cover the NCDOT request for the town of Youngsville. So item number 3 is public hearings. There are none scheduled for tonight, so we'll turn things over and move into citizens' comments. I know we've got one request that was submitted, and that was Mr. Rizzo. Floor is yours, sir.
Mason Rizzo, 204 East Franklin Street, pedestrian safety advocate, and as Mr. Johnson of the Franklin Times noted, de facto spokesperson for the neighborhood north of Main Street. First, allow me to extend a warm and resounding thanks and congratulations to town staff for an amazing sesquicentennial celebration. As a volunteer at the event and an awestruck super dork under fireworks, I couldn't be prouder to call myself a great grandson of Franklin County, a job truly well done. Last Friday, June 6th, I was running in my neighborhood, the one that we're very proud to live in, and the one that acts as the unofficial downtown bypass. Of course, this is something I've seen some of you guys do and something that other community members do every day. Around 1:45, a large pickup truck failed to slow or yield the space that I was running and hit me hard enough to collapse the side mirror and injure my shoulder. This happened in front of multiple neighbors, including 3 children under 12 years old playing out in the front yard. Instead of pulling over and asking me if I was okay, the driver stopped in the middle of the street, verbally accosted and threatened me, and straightened out the mirror and sped away. I didn't know what to do, so I thought the council of YPD and got guidance from Detective Corporal Wisniewski, who explained that I was technically involved in a hit and run. So simply by virtue, and you understand this as well as anyone, simply by virtue of living in what the award-winning comprehensive land use and transportation plan refers to as the downtown edge, I am now a repeat statistic, twice involved in pedestrian vehicle conflicts, both conflicts happening within about a 600-foot radius of my home, and through the mercy of the good Lord, only one resulting in catastrophic injury so far. But, you know, the true problem isn't that this happened to me again. It's the likelihood that it happens to Miss Rizzo or Mr. Moss, who I saw recently running and picking up litter, or the Wiggins family who just moved in across the street, or dozens of children who live, walk, and ride their cute little bikes on the same streets where this happened to me. They are very much the important figures of this conflict. Tonight, by acting on Cross Street, Franklin Street intersection safety, if that's still part of our plan, you have an opportunity to make an impact that will save potentially my family's lives and the lives of our neighbors and their children and their grandchildren, and that will be met with an abundance of gratitude. But in the current condition, we are shoulder to shoulder every hour and every day by thousands of pretty big vehicles driven by distracted and hurried non-residents, as I'm sure you all have seen. The roundabout is, in our community opinion, one of many tools that the town is being looked towards to implement on the unofficial downtown bypass as it currently stands, as we look towards the NCDOT for relief as well. As the conditions worsen under the strain of rapid development, forcing drivers who, Mr. Mayor, that's 3 minutes.
Can you,
I can wrap it up in 30 seconds.
yeah, I'll give you 30
Thank you,
seconds.
sir. As conditions worse under the strain of rapid development, drivers will continue to come through, and we have to use your power and your duty as expected and governing body members to help us out. So guys, we beg you that as we consider the efforts and consideration and resources that we're applying to a future road, please know that we are very hopeful that we will continue to improve current infrastructure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rizzo.
Appreciate it.
All right. That was all that signed up. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to make a citizen's comment? All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll move along into the consent agenda. You see items A through K there. What is the pleasure of the board in regards to the consent agenda?
Move to approve consent agenda.
Got a first, second, and a third. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And that is unanimous. There is no old business. So we'll move along into new business, which is item A, a presentation of Youngsville Mobility Hub feasibility study. Ms. Garcia, you have the floor. Sorry.
Okay, so these are some slides that I presented at a Faith Baptist church gathering. Not a church gathering, but a gathering of transportation planners and professionals to just kind of cover what the mobility hub study was. And the final draft is now out for comment. I'll just go through my staff report and give you the high level view of it. So town staff and NCDOT Integrated Mobility Division have created a plan for future mobility downtown. The planning process took over a year and included multiple community engagement events. Probably saw me dressed as the moon on Halloween. A trick or treat the trails. That was for this mobility hub study. We were out at Yacht Club, and the final draft includes a near and a long-term mobility hub concept downtown. So this is a feasibility study, part of a much larger effort to strengthen regional connectivity and kind of augment the S-line. So as the S-line is further funded, we know it's funded up to Wake Forest now, but as it's funded to Youngsville and beyond, we expect more of these mobility hubs to pop up in our communities. So I'll take you through the concept plan. This is Main Street, intersection of Main Street and Road. And this is the long-term concept. The design of the retaining walls has not been finalized through Youngsville. I don't know if we can tell from this drawing, but the train, as it, currently it's on grade, on level with that cars drive, we walk, but it's going to go below ground to go through Youngsville. So this is a study that we did about mobility and kind of complementing this and utilizing this bridge to be a gathering space and to be everything that people came to us at these engagement events and said, we want a place to gather downtown. We want public art. We want a picnic table, place for food trucks to pull up. So we're utilizing the retaining wall, this design to provide a bike ped connection to Franklinton and to Wake Forest and Wake County. And you can kind of see the above bird's eye view of like a little shelter where people could sit, park their bike if they want to walk to the bar, bike to the bar. And yeah, so this is, again, really dependent on the design of the retaining walls through downtown. If no retaining walls, like if there are no retaining walls north of Main Street, it's still in flux. An alternate option would be to shift this down further south. But you can go to the next slide. So these are sort of the elements that people were saying we're really excited about in a mobility hub, which is just an area where people can catch or use different modes of transportation that isn't cars. Definitely is walking. So we already have like a coffee place that's in the railroad right of way. We're already utilizing that space. So this is just kind of creating something else and something that matches as we grow as a town. So yeah, public Wi-Fi is something people wanted, covered places to sit, or murals, places to listen to music. So this is just kind of like a way that the government can contribute to fostering an environment of commerce and a community. So yeah, I had a really good time talking to people about this, and a lot of good stuff came out of it. And it was also a good continuation from the comprehensive plan engagements where people were like, okay, but how is the town working towards, letting us walk downtown, helping us bike into Wake Forest? You can go to the next slide. So given that the S line is kind of up in the air, it's funded, there's a federal grant that funded the transformation of the railroad into a high-speed railroad from Raleigh Union Station into Wake Forest. And so it'll pick up in Youngsville was the next part of it. But until then, that funding is up in the air. We don't know when it's going to happen. And yeah, so interim, shorter term concepts were part of the consultant's vision and just a stepping stone to what we ultimately want to be. That we have a strong vision, but building small blocks is going to have to get there. So yeah, interim concepts include just like small areas of open space, seating areas with food truck hookups. So no big permanent structure because incomplete nature of the S-line design. But yeah, using like curb space and right of way that we already were able to use, just kind of activating that space. So doing this planning is giving us a good vision for what people want, what we feasibly can do in that right of way. And yeah, all that to say, the survey on the final draft of this report is out till the end of the month. If you want to read it, comment on it, send it to a friend. It's just a way to talk about mobility, bring it to the town for us to support that in different ways than just cars, which if you were here for the public meeting, we did talk about how to get around via car, trying to. So those are my 3 little slides, and you know a lot of the context, but we wanted to present this to you and see how you like it.
Flying motorcycles.
Yes.
That's gonna be the thing.
So what's the time frame on the S line now, projection?
So we only know what's funded and obligated. Actually just funded. So that $1 billion that's up through Wake Forest, we know, and they say that it'll be up by 2030. But past that, we're kind of, at the mercy of
It'll be completed by 2030.
to Wake Forest from
I think it will have service in Wake Forest by 2030. Some of the intersection designs and stuff through there are anticipated to take longer, but there are current construction projects going on now that are part of that $1 billion.
That's 5 years. Everybody in this room will be dead by the time that thing gets.
Not everybody. We got
She'll be the only one
a
left.
youngster out here.
I'm sorry. Everybody else will be gone. We will have flying cars by then.
I'm telling you, man, flying motorcycles is a thing.
So, question, as far as the business is already out here, there's 2 on that one side. What happens to them?
Yeah.
They go away?
So this is a rail project.
And they're in the rail right away.
They're in the right of way. So they're understand the risks of being the railroad right of way.
Because that's both ways, right?
So the railroad owns where like Pack House and the antique shop are. And what they've told us is they're going to take their right of way and use their right of way. And so those places have leases from the railroad. My expectation is that the railroad will say, thank you so much, have a nice day, and kick them off because it will make it cheaper for them to cut their grades in and do all their work. And then, how long is that going to disrupt downtown traffic? What they've told us is they're going to disrupt for Main Street as little as possible. And so then it is, they're going to close Main Street. They're going to put a bypass track in somewhere, which may be effectively Northeast and Southeast Railroad, but they're going to put a bypass track in somewhere, then close the crossing at Main Street, pull everything out to do 3 feet below the future Main Street grade, put the bridge back in and make it a bridge that'll support Main Street traffic, then they'll come back and they'll cut the whole thing down because they'll already have some clearance under the Main Street road. And so they'll just be tunneling that away. And what that does is it minimizes the time that Main Street is closed for. But all of that is real money. And there's no way Packhouse can stay there while they're doing all that grading work.
So what that says to me and Mr. Rizzo is there's going to be more traffic on the streets that we live on, right?
In the short term, they've said that they will not close Main Street until the northern bypass portion has been
Completed, opened. Okay.
So then I have a question about that, and it's not related to this, but it's piggybacking off of just seeing this visualization. If they've already got to come out here and carve to make that subgrade, why don't they just go ahead and extend it out another 1,000 yards? So then that way we don't have to build a $50 million overpass.
I'll bring that up to them. I don't know what it would cost to extend the retaining walls 1,000 yards.
Okay. I think it's something we need to think about. I mean, if it's, what is the plus negative on that? If it's $50 million for the town or for that project to go over the railroad track, as opposed to them barreling under or digging a tunnel to go under it. I mean, that way we could get some kind of we would be grade level and don't have to focus on having to build I don't know how tall the overpass was supposed to be, 50 feet in the air. I mean,
there's a 29.5-foot clearance between the top of the rail and the bottom of the bridge.
okay. I didn't mean that. Look, I'm just throwing that out as a spitball idea. It's something I mean, worst thing they can say is no.
And the level of Main Street will not change, correct? And the reason why,
Where it ties in will be the same on both sides, and there's a minimum thing that it could do, 6 inches a foot maybe. But
okay,
it's not.
because my only question is, you know, you got outlet, well, you had an outlet on the other side, but Northwest Railroad, I mean, if you turn right to go back up Main Street, turn left to go back up Main Street on Northwest. I mean, as soon as you turn, you're going up a grade, right? I mean, it's going to be a bridge, correct? I mean, because when the S line was initially done, talked about 15 years ago, 12 years ago, at Franklinton High School, Franklinton Middle School now. You know, it was the leg from Wake Forest to Youngsville all the way to Franklinton was going to be some astronomical amount, 680 million or something stupid like that. And the grade was supposed to be 30, the train was going to be 30 feet below grade where it's at now. Still the same?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's 30 or 32 or 28, but.
And the retaining wall was only going to be to.
They said only one side in the initial plans, but as they review the plans, it looks like it's going to have to be on the north and south side of Main Street.
Correct.
But that hasn't been
On both sides,
accounted for yet.
both sides of the track. It was 80 feet, basically 27 yards, a little bit shy of 27 yards across. So it's going to eat up a bunch of that green grass area that the pack house and the red barn's in. Especially if we're putting all that stuff up there.
Well,
Is that the right side? I mean, I'm looking at it the right way, correct?
Yeah, pack house and the red barn will be gone through the construction process. But
Okay.
yeah, part of certainly the red barn is mostly in
It's
between the retaining walls.
correct.
And
It's already on the tree line of the bank of the railroad as it is now.
Yeah, and this is also a conceptual plan, so it's intended to be flexible, high level. If Packhouse is the coffee company that moves in there, that'd be fantastic, and that's what I would prefer. So it's definitely a future thing that we're looking towards. And there's no action that's requested of you, but considering where would you live? Talking about that so that we can you know, or to get something on the ground in terms of mobility. But
So I think we got a couple of comments. One of them is that we should, in as much as possible, maintain local businesses and the opportunity for local businesses that are impacted by the plan.
Yeah, I'm sure by looking at the last slide, I mean, there's, number 9, the sidewalk that goes all the way up to number 5 on both sides as a connecting crosswalk to like Wake Forest in that way, and going to Franklinton. I mean, is that going back through the community? Where's that going? Is that going on that side of that? Is that going in the green area where the dumpster used to be a long time ago, back beside the milling company and all that? Am I on the wrong side of the street?
You're on the right side because that's the church there, near the 5 on the top right
So
corner.
right, yeah, okay, so that right beside it is the old milling company. So there's going to be a sidewalk go all the way down through there, and it's going to connect to what? To nowhere? To the road?
The hope, I don't think it'll go to Franklinton without federal funds.
Right.
We didn't mean to throw so many things at you. I mean, it looks good, but
No, I mean, I think it's a great concept. You know, it's just, you know, some of the things I don't know that are feasible because we don't have the parking down there to be able to do some of that stuff. Unless they're going to park, you know. I don't know, in the grass over there beside, I have no idea. Am I all wrong? I mean, I you know,
Hopefully we'll have the armory by the time this.
but we'll have a lot of things by the time that thing's done.
yeah, I don't, yeah.
That's down.
There won't be anybody left to live here.
Again,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. Please stay here. Any additional questions, comments, concerns from any of the commissioners?
So the shorter term independent, you know, the shorter term plan, the inner concepts, how fast could those take place?
as fast as, you know,
And we flip the bill for that? The town pays the bill on that?
it would be a town project.
Okay.
The Wake Forest got money to build theirs from a federal project. And so it's likely that this may be some grant.
Grant money, right?
The aspect there is it was done under the last administration. But the only thing that seems to, well, the presidential administrations seem to be transitioning so quickly that it gives people whiplash.
Correct.
What's next? Nobody knows, right? If we like this, it's something we can apply for when federal DOT is less interested in funding roadway projects.
Right.
Right now, we're going as fast as we can for the bypass, and we have multiple projects in for that, including the planning of the portion from Tarboro down to 96 on the south side, right? Those, we applied for federal funds to plan that stuff because the current administration likes that. If y'all don't like something like this, then we won't pursue it. But if you want something like this, I think it would be a 10% or a 20% local match, and the rest of the funds for it would come from the federal government.
Well, I think it's a good thing to have our bypass that we've been planning for forever, to have that in place before we do any of this, correct? Correct? Am I wrong?
I'm not sure how much effectively like a little park downtown that could be programmed would impact the bypass. Certainly before that happens,
Uh-huh.
our bypass should be in place
Okay.
because
It's going to have to be.
yeah, I don't see how you do it without it. I mean,
I mean, you can't pass all those cars off on either Winston or whatever it is over here on this side. Fine, yeah.
yeah,
It's bad enough on this, and those streets on this side of the road. I can only imagine what it'd be like people cutting through over there. That is through absolute, you know, there's nowhere to go if you come up on a car over there.
they've promised us they will not close Main until after the overpass is open.
Any additional questions, comments, concerns from Ms. Garcia? Hearing none. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next. I mean, did y'all want to give her a standing ovation or just clapping or, okay, all right, all right. Item B, this was, part of the reason for the amended agenda tonight is, NCDOT certification of municipal declaration to enact speed limits and request for concurrence, speed limit reduction North Nassau Street. So this was initiated by some concerned citizens, obviously in Mr. Rizzo's area, around Nassau. We were able to kind of petition the DOT and they actually came back with some pretty good news here. So, I don't know, Mr. Page, if you wanted to add anything to that. Essentially, it's a reduction of speed limit, from 35 in town limits down to 25 on North Nassau. So I don't know if I covered that enough or if you had anything you wanted to add.
Yeah, exactly what you said. It came out of the town, asking NCDOT on behalf of the residents who voiced concerns. It's embarrassing how long DOT takes to do some of this stuff. But this one, they actually said, okay, fine.
Yep.
There are a few difficult pieces here. It is an ordinance. And so there's a different regulation on how it can be adopted than a resolution. A resolution, y'all would have the authority to approve and we could move forward right now. I'm going to defer to the clerk and the attorney. If we had 4/5 of the members, a 4/5 vote counts as an 80% vote of the board. But as Mayor Flowers only votes in the case of a tie, we really have 3/5 of our commissioners here. And with 3/5, that's 60%. I think the threshold is, it's either a supermajority, which is 66%, or a straight up 75% majority. But regardless, we wouldn't meet that even if you unanimously voted in favor of it. So it would be on the agenda again next month, but I'll defer to Madam Clerk for that one.
You want to take action just to defer to next month? Okay, and listen,
Up earlier today, just to make sure, because I knew that Commissioner Percy would not be here.
okay. And so, and again, that's totally fine. And I think a way to kind of pivot around this is, to Mr. Rizzo's point. I hope he and I hope his neighbors and extended neighbors understand that we are doing everything under the sun to try to remedy the problems that you guys are having. This will be, so I guess do you want me to entertain a motion to continue to next month?
No, I think we adopt it and then it still doesn't matter, but you have gone on record as a unanimous amount of the people that are here have said they want it. And then we put it on a consent agenda next month.
You're the note keeper. How do you want?
That is a solution to have, second reading won't require that majority. It would just be, it wouldn't require the super majority. It would just require a basic majority.
Okay. So you're going to move along with the action requested here,
Yes.
right, is to approve certification of municipal declaration to enact speed limits and request for concurrence as presented. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Got a first? Do I hear? Is that a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. Item 8, reports and other business. Mayor Pro Tem Commissioner Breen reminded me that we had not had a meeting since the sesquicentennial celebration. I don't know where time has gone to. I thought it was amazing. Obviously the planning that goes into it, we hope that we've shown up and shown out for the town and shown our love and respect by doing a lot of the things that we did. I know downtown was amazing that day. The vendor show over here at Luddy was amazing. I believe some of the commissioners rode some of the carnival rides that day. And the fireworks were incredible. For the first time that the town has ever been able to pull something like that off, I thought it was tremendous. And I know we've got another one for later this year. And I'm also looking forward to it. So I would like to figure out a way to do that on a yearly basis. I know that gives you more gray hair, but it gives people a sense of pride in the community and wanting to come back in and celebrate. I don't think we do it in July because there's no sense in competing with our neighbors north and south of us. So maybe there's a homecoming type of a thing that we can do to bring people in. So, and again, Sesquicentennial was amazing. We're still in the middle of it. We still got a lot more things planned this year. So stay tuned. I want to commend everyone on the Youngsville Parks and Rec golf tournament. Did a tremendous job. Everything seemed to be pretty flawless there. And if I recall correctly, we raised about $7,000 in profit for Sesquicentennial. So that's amazing. The ABC store is open now. I got a chance to go out and give a speech and help cut the ribbon. Beautiful store. They need more space. It's going to be an anchor point for the bypass going forward. So I think there's a lot of cool things that have happened and that are happening. So it's an exciting time as always to be involved here in Youngsville. So, and I'm going to end on giving a preliminary Happy Father's Day to everyone. That is this Sunday. So make sure your loved ones get you all the steak and potatoes and whatever you need, and maybe a cold beer or 5 or 6 with that, and enjoy your Father's Day. So that's it for me, Commissioner Red.
Yeah, I will just echo that the Sesquicentennial was amazing. The fireworks were on point. And thank you to everyone who put so much work into making that happen. Emily.
You want to take a bow?
That's all I got.
I embarrassed you enough that night. I didn't know if you wanted me to do it. It's fine.
I am perfectly fine.
I'm not only thanking Emily. Lucy did amazing. We all worked really hard. I mean, that committee was meeting for over a year, maybe 2, felt like 4. So, but it was wonderful. I'm looking forward to doing more fireworks. That was so good, right? Those were so good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, Commissioner Bray.
I'll reiterate, Sesquicentennial was amazing. I wasn't on the committee, so kudos to the committee for putting that together, and definitely town staff. It was a great event. It's been my favorite day that I've had in the town, and it was a special one, and you guys knocked it out. And definitely the fireworks were great. They were way better than I anticipated. So more traffic related items, the hot topic at Campo and, everywhere lately has been the US 1 toll road. At the Campo meeting in May, the board did pass a motion to move forward with option 2. That was the fully tolled option. On behalf of the town, I did vote against that. And 2 other people did. I can't recall offhand who they were. I'd have to check the minutes, but I did in that meeting speak about our concerns. And I've talked about it in here before that selfishly, I would use the toll road. I would pay for it, but I don't think all of our citizens are in the same boat and would want to have to pay for it. And I said the real hard pill to swallow there is it's an existing right of way that's being used to access Raleigh, and then you would be tolling that. It wouldn't be a new road that you can use. We'll be tolling the existing right of way that people use. I use every day to go to work. So that was the difficult part for me, and that's why I couldn't support it. We have said that we would be in favor of a single lane option, or I forget what we call it, as express lane.
Express lane.
Unfortunately, that one was not as financially feasible based off of the study that came out. So that's why the board chose to go with option 2, which was the fully tolled. Now, that being said, shortly after that, there was action, and help me get this wording right, action taken at the state legislature that put an end to that would not allow state funds to go to that project. Can you finish and make sure I got that right?
That was inserted into a bill. I'm not sure that the bill has become
Okay.
law
I
yet.
couldn't remember where it was.
The General Assembly has said that they're not supportive of the toll road either. But you also asked me to remind you that the NCDOT has moved up the building of section A and B of project 5307, which is, oh man, you know all these roads way better than I don't get stuck in traffic on the Capitol's.
Yeah.
But the first two portions would begin right-of-way acquisition in fiscal year 2026, which is roughly a year and 3 months away because the federal fiscal year is October. And if you remember, the section A and B was from 542.
Burlington Mills, maybe.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I think Burlington Mills. I think the first was to Durant and Perry Creek, and then the second one was to Burlington Mills.
So that was supposed to begin right of way in 2026, which would then mean that construction would happen shortly thereafter. Now, shortly on a time frame for a project of that magnitude, maybe a couple of years.
Yeah.
But we should see construction happen in the lifetime of some multitude of people in this.
Yeah.
room.
So, yeah, we're hopeful that the project does move forward as a non-tolled option. So hopefully we can get funding for that. I think that's all I have.
And I would just add to that, because Commissioner Bream and I had several conversations about that, and I think it's commendable for him, one, being our Campo representative, but two, voting on behalf of the town instead of voting on behalf of what would be self-serving. I think that's commendable that
Agreed.
obviously you got our back. So thank you for that. Commissioner Johnson.
I can't glaze everybody like y'all have about the sesquicentennial. Because unfortunately, when you have kids who play college sports, you can't be here on the weekend sometimes. So I was not able to be here. But from everything I saw in the paper and all the social media, it was a fantastic event, and I think a lot of people enjoy it. The piece on the toll for Capitol, I don't know how many of you guys drive 540 with the toll part now, and how fun is that to pay that it's a disaster, and that's going to be a disaster. But I understand, and if you ever want to see what a major road through a city here in North Carolina was before and after, just go to Charlotte and see what that looks like. Independence Boulevard was turned into a freeway, and it's a disaster getting off the road and getting to you'll have to get off here to go back there, and unless you know the city and know how to get around that stuff, it's not fun. But change happens when you have a lot of people moving to the state. But for us here in Youngsville, I think Kat said on Campo, I've been on Campo. To be on Campo for as long as Commissioner Brame has been on there is very commendable, because about the third meeting I went to, I wanted to just step out into traffic and be done with it. Because as you know, we are not even a redheaded stepchild. We're not even in the family. We don't get to sit at the family table for Christmas. We sit in the back of the trailer and watch everything happen around us. But now that Wake County is kind of moving toward us, that it's moved every direction. Now it's coming to us. You know, we have to have somebody in there that's fighting for us, and Commissioner Brame has done a fantastic job at that. I say that to say that. Other than that, look forward to getting out and catching a couple ball games down here at Parks and Rec, and I see every time I come by there's always action, and more and more and more. And it's just a testament as far as the area that we live in and the people that live in the area. So that's all I've got, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll turn things over to our esteemed legal counsel, Ms. Katie Barber Jones.
Well, I don't have any public business to report, but thank you and congratulations to you all on this centennial celebration.
All right, thank you so much. And finally, staff, Mr. Page, I'll start with you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a few. As you guys have noticed, we've about rounded out our paving for this fiscal year. The Southeast Railroad is done, looks amazing. We've had compliments about it, particularly from the most impacted business owners, which I think is as equally important as getting good feedback from the residents. And so it's neat when you have a resident and business owner at the same place that really likes the project that we've done. And so that's cool. Patterson Drive was repaved. It's not a road that everybody knows, but it's in Patterson Woods. It's across the street from your neighborhood, Mayor, in a different neighborhood, but it's one that was built in like 2007, so it's about 20 years old and on the list. Anderson Park was repaved. That's out Nassau, right where Nassau turns into Fleming, or at least in that vicinity. And then the last road that we'll repave this fiscal year, which ends in 2 weeks, is the half of Wheaton. We'll pave from Park Avenue past Franklin Park out. And those parcels were annexed into the town like in 2005, 10. And that was a mutual promise. And so it's nice that we can put back into our industrial park, just like they've been helping the town of Youngsville for so long. The next year, we have another group of projects that y'all have funded that'll repave those. The other half of Wheaton, I think, was bumped till a future year, but I think the next part of Franklin Park is in there. And then East and West Franklin and North Cross Street are in for this upcoming year. That's still a flexible target because the county wants to do water and sewer projects, which means that they're going to tear those roads up and rebuild them, rebuild the water and sewer lines, and then we'll repave as soon as they're done. But a lot of those water lines are 100 years old and need to be done. So we were able to work with the county to figure out the time frames on that. When they rego, in the interim, while the county's doing their sewer and water project there, the town has authorized the engineers to proceed with the design for the roundabout at the intersection of Cross and Franklin. And we've asked them as a part of that to actually paint it on the ground. And what we'll do is when that's painted on the ground, we'll get feedback from the neighbors, ask them what they think about it. You know, we'll put up some cones and maybe like when you've seen these, it looks as cheap as it can possibly be, but it is what it is. You put a black trash bag over the stop sign and you put up cones. And so you've got a little traffic circle for a week or two while people try it. And then you take it down. And when they repave the road, they'll actually install the actual traffic circle with, they look like slugs. They're little small things in the road that would be your splitter islands built out of it's like a football that's cut in half and glued to the road. Those, and then there will be a rubber one that's mounted in the middle of the intersection of Cross and Franklin. And so that'll accommodate like UPS trucks or the post office, you know, those things. An ambulance can navigate that area fine. If a larger vehicle goes through there, it's going to get all shaken up and whatever, but it can still drive over those things. It's not going to hurt any vehicles that are driving, you know, a few miles an hour. Now, if somebody drives through there 30 miles an hour, they're going to know that they hit a lot of stuff in the road. So it will slow down traffic that comes to that intersection. We received on, may have been last week, but we received our engineers draft 30% plan for the Cedar Creek straightening project. They updated their estimate. When we talked about this in 2022, I think, Mayor Flowers, we met and asked for help with it from members of the state government. It was 12 million. The new estimates for it are 14 million. That will likely come down a little bit as we get into actual finalizing what that project looks like, but it's still expected to be in that ballpark. Rough numbers, $1 million from the county to match the $3 million from the town would be enough to get $10 million from the federal government. And there's your $14 million for that project. That'll be probably what the ask will be to Campo. If it's $4 million from the town, we'll have to figure out what we can cut in order to make that work. So once we get NCDOT concurrence on those 30% plans, it'll be time for me to go back to the county commissioners and ask again if they're willing to participate. But we'll have some more solid numbers for them in the application timeframe for that will be Halloween of this year. And then lastly, I got a letter today at 3:00 from BRD Development. BRD Development is the current developer of the Rolling Meadows neighborhood. And what they asked for in here was permission to, let me see if I can make this big. I love Windows.
Nothing in the document.
I don't know why it worked that time, whatever. So the red line is the current alignment for a T intersection from the Rolling Meadows neighborhood into our proposed roundabout. So this is the existing Cedar Creek here in gray. This is the new Rolling Meadows. So north in this is pointed this way. So this is plan north. But what they're asking for is permission to put in a right turn lane here and then to make their connection into Cedar Creek. And they're asking for my signature as the person who speaks for the town on behalf of land issues. This one being, can we apply for an erosion control permit, or can they apply on our behalf for an erosion control permit? I told them, I'm not comfortable signing this. How do I communicate to the Board of Commissioners that you guys are going to increase the cost of our bypass, which they all know is our #1 project because they were here and it was a condition of approval for their neighborhood that they build the connection from Fleming to Cedar Creek. So I said, you can write a letter and I'll present that to the board. What I think they would like to see is that if the town of Youngsville pays the difference between what you're going to pay for your T intersection and the roundabout, that y'all will install the roundabout. And I was honestly surprised at the partnership that they showed and the quick turnaround that they did. And I'll read just one from their letter. It says, once the town has their plans for the proposed roundabout approved by NCDOT, the developer of the project will construct the roundabout with a cost sharing agreement agreed to within the proposed development agreement. So I thought that was pretty plain language. I thought it was pretty clear what they want to do. And what they're asking for now is our signature so that they can proceed with their permitting to get the first phase of their neighborhood going. And so I actually wholeheartedly recommend that we go ahead and issue that approval to the Rolling Meadows. And in the meantime, I now have the email of an individual who actually makes things happen quickly at BRD, and I'll reach out to that person if negotiations stall again.
So you just need consensus from us to move forward?
Yes, sir.
I'm seeing a lot of head shaking.
Yes.
So 1,
Yeah,
2,
yeah.
Yes.
move forward. Yes, sir. Anything else, Mr. Page?
Just to piggyback on everybody else's, the Centennial Day was phenomenal. It was amazing how everything came together. I was nervous about a few portions of it, but from the whole day went off very well. And I agree with Commissioner Red that Clerk Hurd deserves enormous respect for that. And that it was everybody. And the participation from staff, there were folks that were working at 2 a.m. the night before to get ready for it. I mean, it was impressive to me how every single employee of the town of Youngsville came together to make that happen. And the fact that the day of my assigned job duties were to sit at a tent for a couple hours and direct traffic for a couple hours shows how well oiled that machine was. And that's a direct result of the uncountable hours that all the staff put into it. And so my special praise goes out to the Parks and Rec Director, Alyssa Murphy, who without it, the events at Bloody wouldn't have happened. And then Clerk Hurd, who organized and was the lead for the parade and for the presentation ceremony at the end. but that it was absolutely every single member of staff. And Lana Garcia was there the whole time. Assistant County Manager Waldorfer was there. The Public Works Department was there. But in particular, the PD also moved mountains to make that happen because, as you all know, there is the event that requires the most from our police department is a parade. And they showed up in spades to make it happen. And then every time I saw one of the officers walking around at Luddy Park, they were smiles and enjoying it and interacting with the public. And to keep a face like that when you've been working for a 12-hour shift, it's impressive. And I have nothing but positive things to say about staff for that event. And I'm glad that you only turned 150 once. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
I would concur with everything that, that you've stated. So thank you for so eloquently putting that out there for us. So yes. Madam Clerk, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
I also want to thank all of the volunteers that we had. I know we have some of the volunteers here in the room. We also had about 30 high school students that volunteered as well. They did an amazing job. They helped with the parade. They helped at the event. And they also had come out for the 5K as well. So it was very nice turnout of all of the volunteers that came through. And as Kat said, we did start this in, I think our first meeting was September of 2022.
I knew it was I thought it was 2 years.
Yeah. And so tomorrow is our second Friday that we don't have a SESQUE meeting, because we did postpone them until the fall. And then we'll prepare for the parade, tree lighting ceremony and parade with our fireworks there. Yes, there is no way that day would have made it without the volunteers on the SESQUE board, without the volunteers in the subcommittees, of which there were many. And then the volunteers that did show up for all of our fundraising events, those that participated in our fundraising events that helped make that, because fireworks are highly expensive. They are $1,000 per minute. So the golf tournament helped raise a lot for our Christmas fireworks. But yes, everybody that's, helped fund it, helped plan for it, has just been there in support. It's been great to have the entire community come together like that. For years, for years they have backed us on this. So I'm glad we were able to give them a good day. That's all.
All right, Mr. Dorfer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have a new public works supervisor who started on June 2nd. He's quickly getting up to speed. His name is Stephen Carpenter. And I keep getting phone calls from a former employer who may or may not be Wake Forest asking why I stole him from them. So if that's any testament to how good of a get he is, then we got a good one. So I'm excited for that. And over the last couple weeks, few weeks, I've been spending a lot of time with the public works staff in the interim period. And one thing we're noticing a lot of is recycling and trash are kind of getting intermingled. And so we're going to start doing some friendly outreach. Got a couple sayings: recycling needs to be loose, bagging is no use. So, and then litter is banned, keep your trash bagged and canned. So we're trying to get people to bag their trash, leave it a little loose, don't mix them. And it makes it a lot easier on the guys. Also, we take our recycling to Sunoco. They don't like trash for obvious reasons. So do a lot of friendly outreach and just get people to raise awareness about the difference between trash and recycling. Be looking for that kind of stuff. That's all I've got, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. There is no need to go into.
If I may, there are some fresh faces here. The next fireworks for Youngsville will be December 5th after the tree lighting ceremony. So if they're interested in attending it, they can come to the tree lighting ceremony.
I think what he's trying to say, guys, so there's this thing in Youngsville in December, and it's called the longest running Christmas parade in the state of North Carolina. So this year we're going to pivot a little bit. Instead of having the Christmas tree lighting the Friday before, we're going to have the parade and then the tree lighting that evening. Is that what you're saying?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'm saying the Friday before the parade, we'll have the.
I thought this had been discussed.
I thought we had discussed it and decided against it.
Let's put a pin in that. We'll bring it up in the SESC
The
meeting.
next fireworks will be the first weekend in December.
Perfect. That's a good pivot.
Well advertised.
I just wanted to make it, Commissioner Johnson has had a saying, he's got a streak going on for about 6 or 7 days now. I would feel like I'm not doing my job as mayor if I wasn't promoting the longest running Christmas. So every meeting, I want to find a way to work that in there. So please, if you were not done, please continue.
It was just to bring attention to that, just in case people didn't know.
Perfect. All right. Anything else from staff, any of the commissioners? All right, hearing none, there's no need to go into closed session, so we'll bypass that. So next up is to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Got a person in a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? And we are adjourned 7:55.